I spent 22 years managing the production floor of a manufacturing plant, a period marked by an impeccable safety record, not a single major incident. My reward? A plain cardboard box to hold my personal belongings. My name is, let's say, Mark Olson, a man of 59 years, formerly the lead supervisor at Prairie State Industries in Oklahoma City. We specialized in high-pressure valves and processing equipment for oil refineries, precision engineering where even minor mistakes could have fatal consequences. One Monday morning, I received a call from the Human Resources Department, a woman named Susan, summoning me to a meeting. There, I found Mr. Robert Thompson, the newly appointed operations manager, a man who'd been with the company a mere 4 months, seated at the conference table, his hands immaculate, his shirt freshly pressed. This individual had only ever briefly toured the factory floor as part of a mandatory safety inspection. Susan explained, pushing a folder across the polished table, that the company was initiating significant operational changes. The company is restructuring its supervisory roles, she stated, her tone measured. Robert nodded in agreement, mentioning market competition and necessary corporate restructuring. I opened the folder to find my termination package. The terms included 2 weeks of training for my replacement, a phased pension payout half immediate, the remainder in installments, and the severance package. Even the company logo on the official paperwork seemed altered, a quiet change implemented without notifying the factory workers. Susan casually added that my replacement, a Mr. David Miller, a recent graduate of the University of Oklahoma with a business degree, was starting the very next day. I closed the folder, my gaze settling on the wood grain of the conference table. 22 years, countless hours, a flawless safety record. Under my supervision, 375 employees consistently returned home safely each and every day. I developed the safety regulations, established the maintenance schedules, and provided training to every foreman and technician on the factory floor. I simply responded, "I understand." Robert visibly relaxed, while Susan offered a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Mark. A man's true worth lies in his accomplishments, not his pronouncements. At Prairie State, I had constructed something tangible, a robust system, a strong safety culture, an unblemished record. And now I had a mere fortnight to hand it all over to someone who wouldn't grasp the intricate details they were about to dismantle. Upon arriving home, I contacted my longtime friend Bill, who'd recently retired. "They're letting me go," I informed him. "The scoundrels," he replied. "Are you going to create a ruckus?" "No," I said, "but they'll soon realize their mistake. Some expertise cannot be transferred in just 2 weeks." I hung up, my gaze falling on my work boots, a testament to 22 years of factory floor grime, a mark that time couldn't erase. They had no idea what they were losing. I started at Prairie State when my son, Alex, was only a year old. My wife, Sarah, and I had been married 5 years, and that job had provided us with stability, healthcare coverage, and a sense of security for our future. I began with 3 shifts a week, subsequently becoming a supervisor, then assistant foreman, and finally lead foreman after the retirement of old Mr. Henry Davis. The factory became my second home. I could identify every machine by its unique sound, anticipating problems before any warning lights illuminated. I could instantly pinpoint safety hazards from across the room, detect when hydraulic fluid required a change, or even perceive a 2-degree temperature fluctuation. Sarah used to joke that I cared more about the factory than our own house. Perhaps she was right. First by Central Plains Industries in 2012, then by Zenith Capital Partners in 2021. The latter, a private equity firm, focused on algorithms and efficiency metrics, swiftly began reducing excess capacity, reduced maintenance budgets, cheaper parts, less frequent machine servicing, replacement of experienced mechanics with contract workers, reduced inventories of replacement parts, and ever-increasing production quotas. Then Mr. Thompson arrived, armed with his MBA and spreadsheets. His first week included a factory-wide meeting. "We're implementing new performance tracking across all departments," he announced. "Data-driven decision-making is the future of manufacturing." Following the meeting, Diego, my lead machinist, pulled me aside. "Mark, this man is trouble," he warned, questioning the safety lockout procedures to save time. I dismissed his concerns, assuring him we would manage as we always had. But the ominous signs persisted. Mr. Thompson ceased attending monthly safety reviews. Maintenance emails went unanswered. My training budget requests were rejected repeatedly, and 3 new, inexperienced supervisors fresh out of college questioned decades-old, well-established procedures. "Is a full diagnostic after every shift change truly necessary?" one asked. Another added, "These daily inspections seem excessive. The manual only recommends weekly checks." I began maintaining my own records, meticulously documenting and photographing maintenance requests, recording every safety-related conversation. A premonition urged me to preserve evidence of our consistently sound practices. I just hadn't anticipated being dismissed so abruptly. My replacement, David Miller, arrived on his first day in a suit and tie, his hair perfectly gelled, and a tablet he consulted every few minutes. "I'm eager to learn from you before assuming control," he stated, offering a firm handshake. "I've already analyzed all production metrics and identified several efficiency improvements." I handed him a pair of steel-toed boots and safety glasses. "Factory tour first, metrics later," I instructed. "Maintenance schedules, safety protocols, personnel files, introductions to shift supervisors and lead operators." Yet, I observed a pattern. He diligently documented processes but seemed oblivious to the human element. He didn't inquire about Diego's son joining the military, remember that Alicia required extra breaks due to diabetes, or understand that the number 2 milling machine needed coaxing on cold mornings. On my last Thursday, I overheard David and Mr. Thompson in the break room. "With the new shift schedule, we can likely consolidate 2 maintenance positions," David remarked. "And that safety redundancy Mark insists on for the hydraulic press. The manual doesn't mandate those extra checks." Mr. Thompson nodded, visibly pleased. Precisely the fresh perspective we required. They didn't notice me standing there. A chilling sensation settled in my stomach. This wasn't merely about cost cutting. They were dismantling the safety safeguards I had painstakingly built over decades. Safeguards that had prevented countless injuries. Diego, Alicia, Sam from maintenance, and Richard, the night shift supervisor. We met in the parking lot after work. "They're going to start cutting corners," I warned them. "And the new man doesn't understand what he doesn't know." "What should we do, Mark?" Diego asked. "We can't simply ignore the new boss." "No," I agreed. "But you can document everything. Keep your own records. And if problems arise with the equipment," I gave each of them my personal phone number. "Call me." Not management. Me. Me. No farewell party. No cake. No speeches. Just a handshake from Susan and a deactivated parking pass. But I wasn't finished with Prairie State Industries. Not yet. I was waiting. 3 weeks later, Diego called. "They're altering the maintenance schedule on the hydraulic presses," he said. His voice hushed, as if hiding. "Changing it from weekly to bi-weekly inspections." "Document it," I instructed. "Note any pressure changes, leaks, or unusual noises." 2 days later, Sam called. They had rejected my parts order for the backup generator, claiming they could wait until the next quarterly inventory. I meticulously logged every call, every change, every shortcut. "Thank you for your concern, Mark. The transition has been seamless, and David has already implemented several efficiency improvements. We'll reach out if we require your expertise." Corporate jargon for stay away. A belt slipped on the number 3 press, causing a 2-hour shutdown but no injuries. A small hydraulic leak followed in week 7, then 3 electrical problems in week 8. Richard called after each incident. "The new guy blames the equipment, Mark, claims it's outdated and poorly maintained." My anger surged. That equipment had functioned flawlessly under proper care. By week 10 I could endure it no longer. I drove to the plant during lunchtime and waited in the parking lot. When Diego emerged, I beckoned him to my truck. "How dire is it?" I asked. Diego scanned his surroundings before answering. "Bad. Production is down 15%. They fired Sam last week, calling him resistant to change. And David's college buddy is now in charge of maintenance. A man who couldn't distinguish a torque wrench from a screwdriver. Has anyone been injured?" "That was my biggest fear." "Not yet," he replied. But Richard almost lost a hand when a safety switch failed on the cutting line. David called it operator error. I made a decision. I knew people at the State Industrial Safety Board. A single call could trigger an inspection. The next morning, I made that call explaining my concerns, my extensive experience, and the specific changes that deeply worried me. The inspector, a woman named Carol Davis, took detailed notes. "We'll conduct an unannounced inspection within the next 2 weeks," she assured me. I felt a sense of satisfaction. The system would correct itself. 3 days later, Diego called again, his voice filled with panic. "They know, Mark. Someone told management you initiated the inspection request." Mr. Thompson's furious. My stomach sank. "What's happening?" "They're making us work overtime to clean everything. falsifying maintenance logs, shutting down production lines to fix problems before the inspection. Then arrived a legal letter, hand-delivered to my home. Prairie State Industries accused me of malicious interference with business operations and breach of non-disclosure agreements, threatening a lawsuit if I continued disseminating false information about company practices. I contacted my attorney, John Miller. He reviewed the letter and sighed. The NDA claims are a bluff. You haven't shared any confidential information, but they could make your life difficult with legal fees.
Can they halt the inspection? I asked.
No. Once the safety board decides to inspect, it happens. But Mark, be cautious. These corporate entities play dirty when cornered. I hung up, anger and anxiety battling within me. They were attempting to silence me, while frantically rectifying the very problems I'd highlighted. But what would happen after the inspection? They would resume their shortcuts, only more discreetly next time. I needed more than a single inspection. I required evidence of systemic negligence, inconsistent maintenance documentation, and employees who seemed rehearsed in their responses. Will there be penalties? I asked. Minor ones, insufficient to effect lasting behavioral change. Fix the obvious problems, pay minimal fines, and return to business as usual. That weekend, my doorbell rang. It was Richard, appearing nervous on my porch. Sorry to bother you, Mark. I needed to show you something away from the plant. He handed me a thumb drive. What's this? I asked. Maintenance logs, he replied. The authentic ones, and the fabricated ones they created for the inspection. Plus emails between Mr. Thompson and corporate regarding the cost-saving initiative. They've been planning these cuts for a year, even before you were let go. They needed someone who wouldn't object like you did. Insurance covers accidents. Missed earnings targets cost us investors. They were gambling with people's lives. My people, the ones I had protected for 22 years. Critical safety components, backup systems, and preventive replacements, all rejected with the same note. Defer to next quarter per budget constraints. Why are you showing me this, Richard? I asked. This could jeopardize your job. Richard's expression hardened. Alicia's nephew was injured yesterday. A press guard malfunctioned, the one David deemed non-critical. He's 19, and lost 2 fingers. They're blaming him, making him sign papers while he's still medicated. My hands clenched. They can't do that. They are, Richard affirmed. And it's only a matter of time before something worse happens. After Richard left, I sat in my kitchen for hours, the evidence spread across my table. Fury and responsibility warred within me. These weren't mere statistics. These were lives. People I'd worked alongside for years, families I knew. I picked up my phone to call the safety board, then hesitated. Another inspection wouldn't suffice. Prairie State Industries would temporarily clean up, pay another fine, and continue the cycle. This demanded a different approach. I contacted Diego, Alicia, and 6 other trusted veterans. We arranged to meet at Bill's house the following day. When everyone arrived, I presented my findings and the evidence Richard had provided. So what do we do? Diego asked.
Go to the media?
I shook my head. Not yet. First we need leverage. What kind of leverage? Alicia inquired.
The kind that impacts their bottom line, I said.
I need records of every shortcut, every failure, every near miss, since I left, documented, dated, and photographed if possible. Frank cautioned. They'll fire anyone caught gathering that information.
I know, I replied. That's why we need to be clever and patient.
Shift reports, equipment failures, safety incidents. I meticulously compiled everything, building an irrefutable case. Simultaneously, I made 3 key moves. First, I contacted James Carter, a former client now working for Prairie State Industries' largest customer, Summit Energy Solutions. We met for coffee. Mark, good to see you, James said. I've been wondering where you've been. Forced retirement, I replied. But that's not why I asked to meet. I showed him photos of defective valves shipped from Prairie State Industries in the past month, valves destined for Summit Energy's systems. These passed inspection? James asked, frowning. Under the new inspection process, yes. The shortcuts have consequences, James. I couldn't live with myself if something failed at your facilities. James studied the photos. This is serious, Mark. We have long-standing relationships with our suppliers, but safety is paramount. I'll request that Summit Energy conduct its own quality audit. My second move involved contacting Carol Davis again at the safety board. This time, instead of general concerns, I provided specific documented violations, complete with dates, times, and photographic evidence. This is far more substantial than before, Carol acknowledged. I'll need to involve my supervisor. I understand, I said. Just keep my name out of it for now. I directly contacted David Miller, asking him to meet for lunch. To my surprise, he agreed. He appeared exhausted, dark circles under his eyes, his collar slightly askew. I appreciate you meeting me, I said after we ordered. How's the factory floor? David ran a hand through his hair. Honestly, it's a disaster. Equipment's failing constantly. Corporate's pressuring production targets. And I can't meet quotas with half the line breaking down daily. They didn't tell you what you were getting into, did they? They said the operation needed modernizing, that you were resistant to change. But every time I try to fix something, 3 more problems emerge. I nodded. That's because they dismantled a functional system. Those maintenance schedules you discarded? They weren't excessive. They were essential. Mr. Thompson says the budget doesn't allow that level of maintenance. And how's the budget looking with production down and quality issues rising? David's silence was his answer. Listen, I said. I didn't ask you here to gloat. I'm here because in about 2 weeks several things will happen. Summit Energy will demand a quality audit. The safety board will conduct another surprise inspection, and the evidence of systematic safety violations will land on several desks, including corporate headquarters. Every denied maintenance request, every dismissed safety concern. David stared at his untouched food. They'll fire me.
Maybe, but you'd be doing the right thing.
And you wouldn't have a preventable death on your conscience. I'm in. What do you need from me? The pieces were falling into place. We just needed one final push. A situation that would force Prairie State Industries to confront the consequences of its actions. As if on cue, the #1 hydraulic press, the production line's core, catastrophically failed the next day. Thankfully, there were no injuries, but production ground to a halt. The crisis point had arrived. My phone rang at 6:15 a.m. It was Mr. Thompson himself. Mark, he said, his voice strained. We have a problem at the plant. I've heard, I replied calmly. The shutdown was all over the plant's communication system by midnight. Look, I'll be frank. We need your expertise. The main press is down, production's halted, and orders are piling up. Our maintenance team can't find the problem. That's because you fired Sam, who maintained that press for 15 years, I pointed out. Mr. Thompson sighed heavily. Can we put the past aside? The company is willing to hire you as a consultant to get us operational again. I'm listening. $300 per hour. Cash. No questions about how you fix it. We just need it running by the end of the week. I bring my own team. Diego, Richard, and Alicia. I have complete authority over repair decisions and parts orders, and I want access to all maintenance records for the past 6 months. Mr. Thompson hesitated, then conceded, fine, whatever it takes. Multiple system failures caused by months of neglected maintenance. Exactly what I had warned about. I turned to Mr. Thompson, who hovered nearby. I can fix this, but first I need to show you something. I displayed my email. I just sent this report to Zenith Capital Partners Executive Team, the State Safety Board, and Summit Energy Solutions. It details every safety violation, every shortcut, and every risk created by your policies. Mr. Thompson's face paled. You can't do that. I already have, I stated. Now, do you want this press fixed or not? 3 days. That's how long it took to repair the hydraulic press. A simple maintenance issue if they had followed my original schedules. During those 3 days, Prairie State Industries faced a whirlwind of consequences. Summit Energy suspended orders pending a full quality review. The safety board arrived for another more thorough inspection, and Zenith Capital Partners dispatched their own operations team. By day 3, Mr. Thompson was gone, reassigned to corporate headquarters. David remained, but in a diminished role, reporting to a new operations director sent from the parent company. This new director, William Collins, called me into his office after we restarted the press. Impressive work, he said. The corporate team reviewed your documentation. Very thorough. I waited. We're implementing a complete overhaul of maintenance and safety protocols at all our facilities, William continued. And we'd like to offer you a position Director of Manufacturing Operations for Prairie State Industries. I considered the offer. What's the salary? William named a figure 30% higher than my previous salary. in complete autonomy over maintenance schedules and safety procedures. Within budget constraints, yes. I shook my head. That's the problem. Safety can't be budgeted quarter by quarter. I stood to leave, then paused. I'll consult. 3 days a week, my hourly rate, I'll help you rebuild the systems I created, train your people, and restore production. But I won't be an employee again. William considered this, then nodded. Acceptable. I didn't return for the title or the money. I returned for Diego, Alicia, Richard, and everyone else who deserved a safe working environment. I returned to rebuild what I had spent 22 years creating. When I entered the factory floor the following Monday, the machines were already running more smoothly. They knew their former caretaker had returned. They knew they had to do something about it.